Let's take you back to Parliament now because there's a petition that's been submitted to the House by the leadership of the Student Front, NUGS, and civil society group African Education Watch. The groups are asking Parliament to uncap GETFund, which they believe is critical to unlocking the potentials in the education sector. I want to bring in now Kweku Asante, our parliamentary correspondent, who has more on that for us. Kweku, so what's contained in this latest petition before Parliament?
So according to NUGS and Africa Education Watch, who've been commenting and petitioning Parliament, they say that the GETFund capping law should be reviewed, it should be repealed as of now. We have significant concerns about how government is managing the levy. Indeed, in their petition, they have a number of outlines that they want government to take care of. They say that in 2019, the GETFund levy accrued about 1.8 billion Ghana cedis. Government only gave GETFund 1.2 billion. In 2020, 2 billion, GETFund only get 1.2 billion. And that in this year, 2023, the expectation is that GETFund is going to raise about 4.6 billion through the GETFund levy. And GETFund is only going to get 1.8 billion of that. That is about 39%. They say that this is woefully indicated because of how important funding of education is in the country. And so they are petitioning Parliament and they are asking the Education Committee, the Finance Committee, to take some urgent matters to realign the specific law that caps GETFund. And so they were received by members of the Education Committee, the chairman, Mr. Bankwai Siama, the ranking member, Peter Lotupo, to the MP for Akachi South. Akachi North was also there to receive NUGS and Africa Education Watch on the specific concerns that he had about capping of GETFund monies. And the committee is promising that they are going to work on that. I've also spoken with Kofi Asari, who's Executive Secretary of Africa Education Watch. He says that this is a matter that is such an important one. He expects that Parliament will deal with this issue before it goes on Easter break.
Our concerns primarily stems out of the declining funding for education, which emanates from GETFund. In 2017, this House enacted Act 947, which has become more of an enemy to the progress of students. And we won't mince words with this. Act 947, especially for the GETFund part, is an enemy for the progress of education in Ghana. In 2019, a total of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis was to be accrued to GETFund. Out of that, only 66% was allocated to GETFund, representing 1.2 billion. In 2020, out of a 2 billion accrual, only 1.2 billion was allocated, representing like 60%. In 2021, out of 2.3 billion accruals, only 1.4 billion was allocated, again another 60%. In 2020, 81% out of 3.2 was allocated. Initially, we had smiled, hoping that 81 is an improvement on it, but now it was reviewed to 56% in that same year. That was 2022. In 2023, then our biggest problem reared its ugly head. Now we realize that it is no longer a boardroom discussion again. It is a matter of a deliberate attempt to deprive the students of this country the requisite funding that is needed to run an educational sector. Out of 4.6 billion that is supposed to be accrued to GETFund, only 1.8 billion, representing 39%. The students of this country query in shock. Today we are here with just two requests: reject the GETFund formula and quickly initiate steps that would uncap GETFund.
And Kweku will be getting the response from Parliament shortly, but I want us to also listen to the Executive Director for Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asari, who's been speaking on the matter.
That has its own purpose. Okay, so education funds are for education. There are other earmarked funds for health, local government, and all the other sectors. So just keep education funds sacrosanct. It's as simple as that. The intention behind GETFund is to support education development. Let's respect that. If we need other funds for other sectors, we can look at either creating new funds or within the public financial management system, we have various funds for other sectors. Let's respect the fact that education funds are meant for education. It's as simple as that.
How urgent should such a decision be taken by Parliament? How urgent is it for the sustenance of education?
I mean, we hope that by Monday, the Select Committee should take a decision, because next week, one of the issues to be considered at the committee level is the GETFund formula, which we are asking the committee to reject. Plenary should also reject it. And so it's as immediate as, next week. Before Parliament will rise, they will consider GETFund, and we are encouraging that they should reject the formula and insist that GETFund is uncapped before they approve the formula. That condition is very, very important. Other than that, we will not be seeing a good story in our schools. Anytime you go to the schools and you see that there are schools under trees, children learning on the floor, everything you see related to resource deficit, bear in mind that less than 20% of GETFund accruals likely to hit the account this year, because the finance minister came to Parliament again on December 21 last year and brought a second capping law, which has now reduced the percentage of the GETFund that is going to be available from 25 to only 17. People don't know about that. That bill was passed at the dawn of 21st December. And so there's a double capping now of not only GETFund but other earmark funds. But we are focused on GETFund because that is education cash, and we want to see it uncapped.
Okay, Kweku, so what's the response from Parliament on this? Kweku Asante, you'd have to unmute. We're unable to hear you.
We've heard from the chairman of the committee, the MP for Frontier Kwanot, Amankwaisiama. We've also heard from the ranking member, Peter Notukotoi. Both of them are in agreement that this GETFund money should not be capped, and that ultimately GETFund should be getting exactly the amount of money that people are paying as taxes through that forum. And so they agree that Parliament must take some immediate steps. Let me say that these two MPs are all sponsoring the GETFund realignment and private members bill to sort of realign some of these campaign funds. And they say that they are going to work on this.
GETFund is the only dedicated funds that has been earmarked for the development of education in our country. Capping it to the extent of giving it about 17.5% in recent act, I think it's not the right thing. Education is expensive, very, very expensive. But if you try vices and ignorance of the youth, in later years it will cost you harmfully and more than if you had used the money to educate your youth. We will do everything possible within our means to make sure that GETFund, an earmarked fund like GETFund, is used for the education of our country and the youth of our future. We have to give you a vista of hope and inspiration.
I can inform you that Chairman and myself and the committee, we have already taken the step. On the 29th of November last year, we presented a bill, which we call a private members bill, to decap GETFund. It is now before the finance committee. We are putting pressure on them to look at it and make recommendations to the House. I am sure your presence here will give indication to the finance committee that we need to do something about it as quickly as possible. And when that is done, be assured that this committee will be there for you as we have been all times.